So my name's Mark Wilkinson, Wilkoach. I'm a performance coach, trainer, facilitator, particularly specialising in helping organisations to raise their employee engagement, actually. Why am I here? I really literally decided to do this about half an hour ago, actually. I just want to stand up for lying down, mainly, for sleep, and also exercise and diet, really just the basics. Why do I want to do this, and why do I, stand here and, tell you about this stuff? It's because I myself suffer from sort of mild depression. A lot of people do. You take antidepressants, and actually they're really great. But I mean, this time of the year it's a bit more difficult. And I know it's sometimes a bit more inconsistent with someone like me to say, well, I do actually have depression. And then I also have with my clients, my coaching clients, when I'm coaching them, I like to find out about basically how they attend to their well-being. Because one of the founders of coaching, Timothy Galway, said, performance. What am I talking about? Performance is potential minus interference, and so. A lot of the interference that you have, apart from the sort of stuff that's going on in your head, and it can be just how you look after yourself. It's about how you manage your well-being. And I often find it's often interesting to discover that my clients sometimes don't always have the best habits, which are actually just we're actually helping, just hindering them making the progress they want. And actually, when you attend to those basic things, just like sleep, rest, sleep, exercise and diet, it puts you in a tremendously empowered position. And I find that myself, from my own personal experience, and I particularly need, especially this time of year when it's getting dark and everything, that I just need to give a lot more attention to those, so that they're that I get that kind of balance I need, because I know that makes a difference. What I'd like to ask is that, sleep. Who would you put your hand up if you say you get enough sleep? Right. So that's about 40% of you. So the rest of you saying you don't get enough sleep. And can I ask you someone volunteer for me? What is the effect? How do you feel when you don't get enough sleep? Lousy. And how would you say you perform during the day as a result?
With great difficulty.
With great difficulty. Okay, that's interesting.
Tired all the time.
Yeah. And so there must be times when you have had enough sleep, and what's that been like?
Can't remember.
No, dear. Better. Right. Because it's really, it's a fascinating topic, isn't it? And actually, what do you find stops you from getting a good night's sleep?
I need quite a lot of sleep.
Okay.
It's a health condition, so I need about 8 to 9 hours.
Right.
But then it's very difficult to fit that in. And also there's this general sort of perception that if you need any more than 5 or 6 hours, you're a wuss.
Really?
Or a
Gosh.
I think there is a sort of culture of, sleep, we don't need that, and
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, there's a tendency to sort of fetishise busyness, and it's almost like a badge of honour. But what about some of the others, the rest here? In terms of what stops you getting a good night's sleep?
A racing mind.
Racing mind. These tend to have quite a bad effect, don't they? Smartphones and stuff. We tend to be addicted to our screens, don't we? I just want to relate to you some really interesting research which I used in when I did a workshop on wellbeing performance for a client back in spring. Really fascinating research from some guys called Gibson and Schrader. I don't know if you've come across this before, but they actually plugged in wage data for Huntsville and Amarillo. Yes, Amarillo, I believe the same place, and other parts of cities, and they found that by permanently increasing sleep by 1 hour per week for everybody in a city increased the wages in that location by 4.5%. And they also found that if you get an extra hour per night, they discovered that, and I quote them, their main result is that sleeping 1 extra hour per night on average increases wages by 16%, highlighting the importance of restfulness to human productivity. Isn't that astounding? So not only is sleep actually, you imagine, incredibly important for your own well-being, because of course you're able to perform better, you're more resilient, you're healthier, all these things. That in itself, as a whole aggregate, could potentially translate to you earning more money, having a higher income, simply by attending to your sleep, and as some of you said, how much better you feel from having a good night's sleep. And yet it's so easy not to do, isn't it? Because we love our screens and stuff, but actually it makes such a difference, isn't it? So I mean, I often sort of advocate with some of those clients of mine to find ways that they can actually give themselves a good night's sleep, and I would invite you to consider that as well. And I know that the latest research talks about how when you're getting towards that time when you are going to go to sleep, you start to wind things down. Great if you've got a dimmer switch or something, but particularly about reducing your light intake, especially not having I found myself, and a lot of people I think found this, by having a sort of a moratorium on your screens before you go to bed. It's recommended that you turn them off like 40 minutes before you go to bed. Discipline yourself to do that. A screen that's producing for you blue light. Blue light is on the same wavelength as the sun coming up in the morning. It's meant to wake you up. Who here uses a phone? First thing they look at in the morning. I do. You sort of look at that phone first. Well, it's waking you up. It's the last thing you want before you go to bed. So it's simple things like that, and actually. Getting into reading myself, became a big fan of reading in the last few years. Just reading before you go to bed. It's one simple habit, but actually, I would say, my tip to you, besides the other stuff of exercise, regular exercise and a good diet, is really honouring your sleep and enjoying it. So that's my tip that I want to leave you with tonight. It's made a big difference to me, and I recommend you giving a bit more attention to it in the future.